Are you wasting your time trying to convince people to do the right thing? I'm Simon Rafe, and I'm taking the hard line. Welcome back to Hardline, the show people who watch don't comment on, and the people who comment about it don't watch. I'm your host, Simon Rafe. Joining me later will be my producer, Joe Enders, to talk about what we've talked about, and after that, I'll be having a gentleman's chat with one of the producers here, so be sure to stick around for that. But for now, are you wasting your time trying to convince people to do the right thing? I'm not asking if you are wasting your time in the sense of it's not working. I'm not asking if you are wasting your time asking people to do the right thing because they just ignore you and carry on doing the wrong thing. Very probably they are. But you aren't necessarily wasting your time merely because people don't listen to you. Or rather, they listen, but they don't listen. Or they listen, but they don't hear you, or whatever. There are probably a lot of ways to express that notion. You're doing, and they ain't. This is unfortunate. It is probably disheartening, but it's not necessarily wasting your time. No, what I'm talking about is literally wasting your time even if you manage to succeed. I'm not asking if you are trying to convince people to do the right thing. I'm asking if all you are doing is trying to convince people to do the right thing. What do I mean by the right thing here? Well, I'm talking about narrow moral positions, specific courses of action people should take, or rather and more commonly, courses of actions they should not take. Specific, narrow, thou shalt nots. People should follow because they are the right thing to do. Or, to put it another way, they are the correct moral position. Things like, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder. Or, to expand it out to the commonest specifics of the modern world, thou shalt not have an abortion, thou shalt not commit sodomy, thou shalt not use contraception. Now, we might not do this individually or alone. We might, for example, be part of a pro-life group which dedicates itself exclusively to trying to convince people not to have abortions. This is very common and it is a good thing. It truly is. But if that is all you are doing, you're kind of wasting your time. Because we started with that example, the example of the pro-life group that is dedicated exclusively to trying to convince people not to have abortions, because we started with the example of the group who is out there saving the lives of babies and, coincidentally, stopping mothers from being murderers, which is really the more important thing. Because we started with that example, let's continue. If you aren't also encouraging people to become Catholic, you are wasting your time. If you are staying quiet about other related moral issues because you think it might turn them off, and you are maintaining that silence past a prudent period, you are wasting your time. If you are not evangelizing your non-Catholic co-workers because you need them, you are guilty of instrumentalizing them as well as wasting your time. Here is a key point. The goal isn't just to save babies. It's not even just to stop mothers being murderers. The goal is to make people holy, to evangelize them, to make them Catholic. Everything else is secondary at best and can be a distraction at worst. Let's go over that once again. It's a very hard thing to hear and even harder to process. As I say, I know you're listening, but you aren't listening. Or, as I said before, maybe you are listening, but you aren't hearing me. I hope I'm not wasting my time. Let's go over it once again. The goal isn't to save babies or even prevent murders. The goal isn't to stop sodomy or contraception or theft or lying or cheating or even blasphemy. Those are not goals. They are not ends. And they aren't even the means to an end, although we'll come to that later. They are consequences. They are consequences of people individually and collectively becoming Catholic. The horrors of the ancient world, infanticide, adultery, abortion, slavery, racial hatred, these horrors did not go away because the apostles went about saying these things were bad and people should stop them. They went away because the apostles preached Christ crucified and people realized these behaviors were wrong. Yes, they were told they were wrong in the form of these things are forbidden by God, but there was also an explanation of why God frowned on them, which made sense within their new world view. The conversion to Christ came first, and the moral behavior came second. And that is why, really, you might be wasting your time if you aren't preaching Christ crucified, but are instead preaching Christ wagging his finger and saying, "Thou shalt not," or even not preaching Christ at all, but rather preaching a series of moral instructions. It's not just that you are missing the point of the second most important thing you are set on this world to do. The more important thing, of course, is love God. The second most important is love your neighbor as yourself, which means evangelizing him. Thank you for watching Hardline. If you're enjoying the show, please go to churchmilitant.com for the whole episode. You must be a premium member. So to sign up, go to churchmilitant.com/go premium.